China has over 18,000 kilometers of coastline and rich ocean resources. The country is drafting its first state-level ocean strategy, which includes ocean security and development. Let's discuss this further with Andy Sharpless, CEO of ocean protection organization called Oceana. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Look, this is not a topic that we regularly talk about, so it's very special actually, and perhaps it's very timely with this conference that's happening right now. But let me first ask you, when you talk about protecting the ocean, immediately the business folks talk about mining the ocean for resources. How do you balance those two?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of speculation about the mineral resources of the oceans, and there's been a lot more speculation than there's been actual businesses in that. And I think that's actually realistically not a real problem at this minute. So I think the real resources of the ocean are two: fisheries, tourism, and of course ocean oil. So I guess that's three.
Well, let me ask this. What got you into, I mean, you've done a lot of different businesses, what got you involved in this particular organization and to also help individuals, I suppose, bring more awareness to the
Well, you know, I think this is the world's biggest conservation problem that we can fix. It's a source of food that the planet needs to manage and can be turned around very rapidly. And so for me, it's a really exciting problem because it's fixable.
There are a lot of folks out there who love to eat fish. There are a lot of folks out there who like to, you know, there's controversial sushi, there's controversial shark fin. I mean, all of that is part of the coastline, essentially, in China. What's China doing right in some of these areas, and what's China need to improve on in some of these areas?
Well, China is an enormous ocean country, not just in terms of the coastline you mentioned, but in terms of its catch. China, if you make a list of all the countries of the world by the share of their world ocean catch, China's number 2. 11% of the world's wild ocean fish caught Chinese waters. So China has both a huge opportunity and a huge responsibility to manage that well. And it needs to do what all the big coastal countries of the world need to do, and the United States, believe it or not, is number 3 on that list.
I mean, the big question that everyone wants to, and it's not just China, it's Japan as well. It's also Southeast Asia. Yeah. It's the entire group of Asia. The question is it sustainable, and if not, why?
Right. In a lot of places in the world, it's not being managed in a sustainable way, and that's a tragedy. The good news is that we know how to make it sustainable, and it's 3 things: set and enforce scientific quotas, protect nursery habitat, reduce what's called bycatch. That's the accidental killing of non-target species. You do just those 3 things, and everywhere in the world you can, within 5 years, you can see abundant fisheries.
Everybody says we want to protect the ocean. Everybody wants to say they want to protect the mammals or endangered species. But in terms of action, what has the response been by the different organizations that you ultimately speak with?
Well, it's a spotty record. I mean, what it basically comes down to is, are the countries that are big coastal countries with big fisheries, are they doing those 3 things? And some of them are doing a great job, and some of them are doing a lousy job. And it's a mixed record. The overall trends in the world's fisheries have been down. The world's fish catch peaked in 1988, and it's been trending down, not because people weren't trying to catch the fish, but because the fish have been driven down.
Very quickly, for those watching, normal, regular people watching the show, what can one individual really do?
Well, you can do 2 things. Make sure the fish that you eat are the sustainable species, and you can get that information online, and there's some species that are well managed and abundant, and there are others that have been driven down. Make sure you're making your purchases sensibly. Number 2, let your government know that you want them to do a good job on quotas, habitat, and bycatch.
Starts with personal responsibility. Thank you very much, Andy. Great having you on the show.